Harold, it's nice to see you.
Well, good to see you, Scott. It always is.
Love seeing you in Oklahoma, love seeing you in North Dakota, but here we are in Wisconsin. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, it's a different venue, but it's a nice venue, and so far everything's gone well here.
Describe your thoughts on this convention and the message and how things are going.
Well, it's a very positive convention. I think everybody has a lot of gratitude, for what happened. I think we're seeing a lot of embarrassment by Secret Service. One 20-year-old kid made them all look like idiots. And unfortunately, that's the shape of the Biden administration, who appointed that director, and she let, something we was all proud of, just go to hell in a handbasket.
You're more than a supporter of Donald Trump's. You're a friend of Donald Trump's.
I'm a close friend of Donald Trump.
When that happened on Saturday, where were you? What did you think?
Well, when I first heard about it, it scared me to death. I'm sure it did everybody else that heard about that. And, I was so glad to see him get up, give that fist pump, it was just amazing, that he wasn't killed. I'd lived through the Kennedy assassination. It was just a flash, from the past.
It feels like there's other parallels on just how many bizarre things are going on. Do you think there's any kind of effort on behalf of the Secret Service to not have enough detail? Have you got enough answers on how this kid was missed? I mean, is there more to this than just some 20-year-old kid?
There is. Absolutely is. I think Trump it was exactly right the other night on debate when he said Biden never fired anyone. And that's true. Biden hadn't been running the administration for 4 years. Somebody else has. He's been asleep at a switch. We're all seeing that now. And, so everybody, every dink they appointed is still there,
Yeah. So it's just basically a product of incompetence.
It is a part of incompetence, and, they're going to ask for her resignation real quick.
How has this changed your friend Donald Trump, do you believe?
I think Donald Trump has faced a lot of obstacles and a lot of, severe punishment this last year with the lawfare that's been going on. I think he was basically ready for anything. I think obviously that shocked him. He was very sober over the fact that somebody could try an assassination on him. I think it scared daylights out of everybody. But he's unshakable.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Nobody cannot say that about him. Do you think, faith-wise, that it seems to me he has an aura of peace around him and calm, very different than prior to Saturday? Do you think this? Do you realize God spared his life?
Sure he does. Absolutely. And a lot of us felt like from the beginning that this was bigger than ever. Bigger than all of us could imagine, and certainly it is.
Let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump's evolution on American energy. I remember when you and Ron Ness invited the then candidate for president to North Dakota in the 2016 campaign. He gave an address to the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference and laid out an energy vision that was pretty extraordinary. Much of it with the help of you and Senator Kramer and others. Michael Whatley at the time helped a lot shape that as well, now the chairman of the party. Talk about what was sort of promised as part of his platform in that, what he delivered and what is yet to be done in a second term.
Well, I relived that several times, and you have too, but you'll have to recall that Kevin Kramer wasn't senator at that time. He
was in the House.
Yes, yeah. And he is a House member, and So there was a lot of people that didn't care for Donald Trump coming to North Dakota. They didn't realize how impactful that could be. I encouraged him to come not only to North Dakota, but Montana, which we did later that day, as you'll recall. And it's a very successful trip. I introduced him. Kevin Kramer introduced me. I introduced Donald Trump. And the crowd was, a tremendous crowd, 8,000 people in attendance, another 8,000 outside. Very enthusiastic crowd, and it didn't take much for me to get them in a rah-rah mood. And he looked at me as I walked back off the stage there, and as I introduced him, he said, "I didn't know you could do that." I told him, I said, "There's a lot you don't know about me."
How about what he said? That was really profound when you look back now on how he was as a president. This was a candidate's promise. They all promise everything, right? But has he delivered on what he promised?
Well, he sure did. His talk that day was about energy. He gave a wonderful presentation on energy, and, he stuck with that. So he did exactly what he said he would do, and that's what he thinks, and that's who he is.
The price of oil was down quite a bit when he was in office. You're a price taker, as we say in the oil world, right?
Right.
So obviously, the higher prices, the more development. How do you balance that? More markets?
Well, you have to look back at 2000. Before he came into office, 2014, oil had been $120 a barrel. And then,
scarcity at the time, correct?
Yeah, well, the Saudis, were in control. OPEC was in control. They opened the taps and drowned us. And at the end of 2015, 2016, that's where he went into office. Price was pretty low. And, it started coming back up during his tenure, and actually got pretty high again, 2018, 2019, because of the cause of low prices during 2015-16, and production was cut back quite a bit here in the U.S. But it began to recover, and you have to think about COVID. What happened in 2020 knocked it
below zero.
Below zero, and then the price came back and recovered slowly for a long extended time. So there's a lot of difference today in what $80 prices mean than what it did back then.
Explain that.
We've had 25% inflation, and you can't expect prices to go back to $60 a barrel or something like that. We're in a shale revolution, producing from the hard rock shales, source beds themselves today, and it's high cost. It's high cost production. A lot of people forget that. You're not going to have $40 oil again. Get that out of your head. You're not going to have $60 oil again. People have to make money. There's only 500 rigs running in the U.S. today. Think about that. Back in 2014, there's 2,000 rigs running. So it's a huge change today in our industry.
What will he do differently if he's elected president in November? What do you see as far as the American energy revolution that you've made as your pinnacle of your career has been about American energy dominance? How does it go to the next level in the next term with him, do you believe? Well,
first of all, he does away with all those stupid executive orders, that Biden put in effect. Number one, stopping the permitting of wells and leasing on federal lands. You got to get rid of that. My goodness, our country needs that revenue. It needs that money in the economy.
You've talked before about how it could literally reduce the $35 trillion debt by multiple times, right?
Well, sure, it could have a big impact on it. I mean, Biden's done everything. I say Biden. I really don't think that guy's been, he's been asleep at the switch. But anyway, whoever was.
Do you think he's going to make it to November?
It's kind of doubtful right now.
Is that okay for Trump, or is that a
I'd just soon stay the way it is and run against the guy. But I think everybody realized that Donald Trump needs to be the next president.
Last thing I want to ask you about is your bet, if you will, on Summit Carbon Solutions in that pipeline. You got $250 million invested into that effort. It's an alliance with the ethanol industry. Oil and gas haven't always been friendly with ethanol and the different mandates and whatnot, much of which has gone away now. But explain to our audience why the carbon capture, utilization, and storage is so essential for our Bakken.
Well, it's essential for everything. Oil and ag, frankly, though, Scotty, you know as well as I do, have really gotten along well for as long as I can remember. I mean, without leases, we don't drill.
Right.
It's just common sense. So we've gotten along always well. And so here we are again, working together. And it's good for the agriculture industry, it's good for oil and gas. But primarily, it's good for the climate, it's good for our environment, it's the next step in what needs to happen. It's the right thing to do. That's it, it's the right thing to do. Everybody knows that. And certainly for those states, those 5 states, I mean, anybody up there realized that's the right thing to do. So it's something that could be done, and North Dakota thought way ahead in getting ready to make this happen. So my hat's off to Governor Hoeven, all those people back in 2010 that passed the legislation that got primacy to the state. They're just visionaries. So that's the only way to look at it.
Anything else you want to tell us about the great state? Would you like that PSC to go a little faster, maybe? Are you frustrated with the regulatory process at all?
Well, it is a process, and they've gone about it systematically, and I know those commissioners have been under a lot of pressure to do the right thing. I know they'll do the right thing. So anyway, I feel positive about where it's at, and it's a very slow process, painful process, and it goes way too slow, and it should occur much faster.
Well, you're a dear friend. We always appreciate catching up with you. You're America's oil champion. Thank you for everything you've done for generational wealth in the Bakken, and I know you're responsible for more millionaires than anybody on the planet from oil royalties and everything Continental's paid over the years. So you don't hear it enough, but we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate North Dakota, appreciate everybody up there, and I love that state and I love the people.
Thank you, Harold.
You bet. Thanks, Scotty.